Hello everyone and welcome to another art lesson with me, Mr. Richardson. This activity is for my grade 2 students and this ties in with our picture storybook called Ish. So I hope that you've had a look at the book Ish, or you've looked at my video where I read the story to you, and it tells a story about a boy who loved to draw, but his drawings were kind of mocked by his older brother, and that put him off drawing because they weren't right. They didn't look quite what they were supposed to. But then his sister had a whole gallery of Ish drawings that kind of just, well, Ish. You know, it was vase-ish, flower-ish, fish-ish. You know, they kind of look like those things, but they don't have to be perfectly like those particular objects. So thinking ishly causes us to think freely, to work freely, so that we're not fixated on making sure that it's all super perfect, because that's the best part about art, is that it can be whatever you wish. So with this activity, we are going to be thinking loosely and freely with the lines that we draw, just like in the book. So I want you to pick up your pencil in your fingers like this, but I want you to barely hold it. So you're not going to hold it tight like this, like you're about to write something in your writing book, but you're just going to barely hold it, and I want you to give your arm and shoulder and hand a bit of a wiggle like this, and let it float around as if it's about to be taken away on a stream of air and the wind's going to blow your hand and pencil away. So very, very different if we were holding it tight. It's like this, you're going to scribble. Now we don't want to scribble. This is the difference between scribbling and a squiggle. So we don't want a scribble, we want a squiggle. And you think, what is the difference? And I'm going to tell you. A scribble is purposeful. We do it on the page, and it's kind of like when you're really frustrated and you just want to like that. Admit it. Who has done that before? I have. I'm sure you have too. So this is where you're probably doing really sharp, jaggedy lines. They're pressed really hard on the paper and you're holding the pencil tight. We don't want to do that. We want to think the opposite. A squiggle, we're going to think loosely, like this, where you relax and it just floats, and you're going to draw light, and you're going to let your pencil just wander around the page very quickly. So, for this first part of the activity, you'll need a piece of paper and a grey lead pencil. Don't need an eraser for this one. And you'll also need something to colour with afterwards. So grab your stuff and let's get started. Okay, so I hope you're a little bit more relaxed. You've given yourself a little bit of a wiggle and let yourself just sink in the chair. If not, take a few deep breaths in and out and see how you go. Because you're thinking, why is Mr. Richardson asking me to relax and to breathe in and out? Well, we want to be like Ramon. We want to be just letting our pencil float across the paper without feeling anxious or stressed or worried about what is going to be put on the paper. So, last little wiggle of my hand with my pencil in it. You can have your paper going this way, or you can have it going that way. It does not matter which way the paper goes at this stage. Now, think of the whole piece of paper. So, around the edges, how big it is, and I'm going to give you 5 seconds to put a squiggle on the page. So just to remind you, a squiggle is different to a scribble. A squiggle is a loose winding line across the page. It can go in any direction. It can cross however you want. So, got your pencil ready. Hold it somewhere on the paper. On your marks, get set, go. Done. Less than 5 seconds. Now, at the moment, you're probably thinking, why is there a big sort of swirly line on my paper? Well, good question, because you are then going to use your imagination and think how you can turn this squiggle into an object, a picture of some sort. And it's going to have to require you to use your imagination to try and look at the shapes and the way that the lines are going. And it means that you'll have to then turn your paper around, look at it from different angles, upside down, to the side, way. Might take you a little while to sort of find the pictures or a picture of what it could be. Have you found a picture in your squiggle yet? I think I may have found one now. So, looking at the squiggle and having it the right way around, you then need to then add the details for what your object will be. Have you worked out what I may turn this into yet? No? Well, magic of the camera, I'm going to turn my squiggle into... And I turned my squiggle into a big fat seal on the pebbles on the beach with all of these wrinkles and his flippers and his whiskers there. So it's really up to you what you can think of. Don't really have an idea at the start of when you do this activity. You want to just have your mind empty and just go, right, I'm going to put my squiggle on the page and it's not going to look like anything in particular, and then I'm going to let my imagination do the rest of the work and turn it into something after. Because you don't want to think at the start, I'm going to draw a picture of a person or a cat. That's not what we really need to be doing. We need to be doing a squiggle on the page. So, what can you turn your squiggle into? After you have turned it into something with your grey lead, then it's completely up to you what you use to colour in your picture. So, it could be coloured pencils, it could be textures, if you've got chalk pastels, oil pastels, watercolour paint, acrylic paint. I'm going to leave that with you of what you use to finish off your picture, your ish squiggle picture. I hope you enjoy this activity and I will show you what my finished result looks like in just a moment. Ta-da! I have coloured in my wrinkly seal who's laying on the pebbles on the beach. I used these chalk pastel pencils that I got from Zara. So they're pastel pencils, they're woodless, so all chalk pastel pigment. You've got lots of colours to choose from there. But again, as I said, you can use whatever you want. Coloured pencils, textures, paints, whatever you have got at home and whatever you like to use. So here is my squiggle-ish seal picture. So remember, start with a blank piece of paper, loosely hold your pencil, and 5 seconds to put a loose squiggle. Remember, not a scribble. Scribble is different. A squiggle, light, loose, moving line across your page. Turn the page around, have a look around, see if you can try and get that brain thinking. What is it going to turn into? It could be a number of things. You might have to spend a little bit of time to think about it. If you're really stuck, you might want to leave it there, come back again later and have another look at it, or even show it to a family member and say, hey, what do you think this squiggle could be turned into? So then once you've figured out what your squiggle is going to turn into, add the features and then colour it however you want. So I hope you have fun with this activity. It's really great activity to tap into your imagination and your creativity skills. So I hope to see lots of fabulous-ish pictures from all of the grade 2 students. But for now, I'll see you next time.